Hi guys, I'm back. It's been a while and I apologize. I'll tell you why later. First I want to get into this cup. This is going to be our beach themed cup today. I've done two thin coats. I have 3 blues. I have ultramarine, cerulean blue, and then I took 2 of these Craftsmart paints. One is Tide Pool and Tropical Rain, and I kind of just matched them all up together to get this lighter color here. This color here is yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Don't need these exact colors, just pick 3 colors of light, medium, and dark, and then give yourself a sand color that you like. The blending part is what we're going to do next, so I wanted to show you that. So I'm going to turn this over so I can hold on to this part, and I've got some assorted brushes here. They're all flat. This one is an angle, but that's just because I ran out of the flat ones, just to keep myself going faster. So I'm going to start with, I think this is a 1.5 inch brush. It doesn't matter. You just need something so that you can do the blending. But as you can see, I need some more yellow ochre on here. So I'm going to just wet my brush a little bit. It's nice and glistening, but I'm going to, let's do this. Move this over. Blot most of the water out. And I'm going to load up my brush. And we're just going to give this a nice coat so that it covers up the stainless steel. I just washed the cup. I did not what was I saying? I didn't spray paint it white. You don't have to. As long as this dries and you give it a good seal. Look at the top here. So this will be the 3rd coat on here, guys. Just so you know. Get a little more paint because it's dragging. Okay. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to do some blending. I'm going to wipe some of it off. I'm going to dip my, just the corner of my brush in, and then get the rest in yellow. And I'm going to brush it back and forth and load up my brush. If you find that your paint is too thick, you can use a medium. I use a gel medium. And you can see this is not straight. I don't care whether it's straight or not, because this is a beach. And the shoreline is not straight. It's starting to drag, so I'm going to get a little more paint. I didn't put any gel medium on this. It's just straight paint with my bristles getting a little wet. And the only reason why I use a dark sienna or burnt sienna is because when your water hits the sand, it gets darker. So you can see it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, actually, because when we get ready to do the epoxy, that's when we're going to add the splashing of the white. All right, so that looks good to me. I'm gonna live with that. We'll work on that when I get ready to mix this color here. So I'm gonna wipe this off. See, wiped it off. I'm gonna wash out my brush a little bit. And then I'm just gonna grab another one, leave that in there for a minute. Get my bristles wet. Dab off the excess water. And now we're gonna do the burnt sienna. I may have just a tidge. That's a little too globby there. And you'll see that this is not mixed up all the way. It doesn't matter. Just gonna load that part up. And we're gonna blend it again. And this time I'm gonna put the burnt sienna on the top. There are so many ways to do this beach theme cup. It blows my mind that how people do it so differently, and they all come out so gorgeous. It just amazes me, the talent that's out there. And I'm just showing you how I do mine. I'm gonna wipe off that burnt sienna. Dip it in just the blue. Give that a good coat there. Blending out the strokes so that it's not globby. Alright, so now I'm going to just kind of like scrape that off a little bit. And I'm going to go into the cerulean blue and that mixture of tropical rain and tide pool. I'm running out of room on my paper plate. We're just blending so that there's not a hard edge. Get a little more of that blue. And I'm done with this. I'm going to take a sip of my fat-free half and half with a little bit of coffee. So you guys can go grab a cup. That looks pretty good right there. So now I'll scrape a little bit of that. I need a sip. Yummy. Okay, now I'm just going to do cerulean blue just to make sure that that's all good and coated. And if we get a little in there, that's fine. A little of the lighter color, that is super fine. You know why? Because when we do the epoxy, you'll never see it. Wipe off my brush a little bit. Get some blue. And you kind of actually want those variations of color, because that will help with the white when we get ready to do the waves. You just want to get it nice and blended so that there's no big major streaks. And this will dry a little darker. Okay, scrub that out a little bit. I'll grab another one here, get it wet. This is an old one, the ferrule is loose, but it's okay. Now I'm going to go into that blue, and now I'm going to get my ultramarine blue. So I'll tell you why I've been absent. I had a very emotional summer. We had Kitty, and if you've seen any of my old videos, you know she came and talked to me all the time, and we had her for about 10 or 11 years, and she was 18, and she passed away late spring. So I had a really hard time with that, because she was the most sweetest kitty. She was so loving and so trusting. And so yeah, it was a really hard time. I just went into a really deep depression, and it was hard, very hard. So then my daughter and her husband, they had 2 cats, and they moved into an apartment, and they asked me if we would take them. So they moved to Texas from Chicago. We drove down and picked them up and spent about 10 days down there. And they're very flighty. They're very spooky. They jump at everything. They're very just jumpy cats. And so I worried that they were going to become feral, because as soon as they got here, we let them out of their cage, they ran down into the basement, and we couldn't find them for 2 weeks. It was I was beginning to wonder if they were even going to come around. But I knew that they were eating and using their cat box, so I was cleaning that out regularly. So now we have a brother and sister, because they adopted them from one of those adopting agencies for pets. So I'm just trying to fill in that. I don't want that. I may have to come back and do a second coat on that, just so that the stainless doesn't show through. So anyways, they started coming around, and now they come up and they sleep with us. And so yeah, so then my friends and my family all started pushing me into doing craft shows. So I actually did 2 of them. So I got those under my belt. They were fun. You know that I don't work outside the home. This is my income, doing jewelry, resin art, and these cups. I guess you could call this resin art as well. I just dipped it into the cerulean blue, because I don't like this bold line I'm getting here. So I'm not creating straight lines, I'm just blending. So that looks really good. It's messy, but it's okay. You're gonna have that. You don't need to worry about that. So we're gonna let this dry, and I'll come back and we'll get ready to put some epoxy on it. It'll be probably about an hour for me, and it'll just be a second for you. So we'll see you in a sec. Hey guys, real quick, this one is Buddy. I don't know where Sissy is. She's more delicate and small. She's totally black with gold eyes. And Buddy likes to get wherever he's not supposed to be. Yes. Are you gonna play phone boot? Yeah. Alright. So anyways, I really came back to tell you that I still have to put the sand on the bottom of the cup. So we're gonna do that before we do the epoxy. So we'll see you in a sec. Okay, I'm back. Let this dry. Now we're gonna we're gonna apply some Mod Podge, any kind. I am using a gloss, but it doesn't matter. You can use whatever you want, just as long as it's some kind of glue. And I bought this. I think I got this at Michael's sand. It's called light brown. So I poured some in a little cup here, and I need to get my parchment paper down. So let's see, make sure we stay in camera. So I'm just going to grab a brush. I'll grab my old ratty one, the one with the loose ferrule. So I'm just going to dip it in my glue. Apply it. I think I'm being kind of liberal with it. I'm going to get it all over here. I'm just going to smooth it out a little so I don't have a raggedy line. Put some on the bottom. Oh, sorry, I got something in my, looks like a piece of cloth from my washcloth. Try to get it out. There we go, it's coming. Oh. I pulled it off and then I stuck it back on. Okay, it's gone. There we go. So, let's go back over this, where it looks like it's trying to dry out already. So you want, I'm going to put this in the water. So you want this really fine sand. I actually used real sand on that last beach cup that I had shown you guys. And it was so big, the bits of sand were so big that I had to grind it off. And let me tell you, that gets hot when you're using a grinder on sand, because it really just, it takes a bit to get that stone out of there. That looks good. I like that. I'm going to take a dry brush though, and I'm just going to kind of smooth that down a little. Because, anyways, I was saying it. The sparks fly, and it hits your skin, and it's hot. Those stones get hot. That wasn't fun. I'm just mushing this down a little bit. Oh, sorry. I'm on a camera again. I'm sorry. I'm just pushing this down because I lost some of my burnt sienna. mean, that's okay. Sorry. I keep getting it closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to work behind the camera. And I don't know if you guys do YouTube videos, it's really hard to look through the camera and work. I have no idea why. I'm gonna scrape just a little bit of that off. I don't like that. Looks like a bubble. Let me get a little, see if I can push it down with a little of the glue to get it soft again. I'll show you what I was doing here. Just pushing the tip of the paintbrush on there to get that a little more smooth. And it's all good. I'm telling you, it's all good, because what we'll do is when we come back to get ready to do the epoxy, I'll make some white there, and that'll cover that. It'll cover up all the flaws. All the white will cover up the flaws. So that's it for that. We'll just let that dry for an hour, and then we will go to the epoxy station. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, we're ready to put on the epoxy. I made up 40 milliliters. Mixed it all together really good, and I put just maybe not even 10 milliliters in here. And I've got some Alumilite white opaque dye. So I'm literally going to just put one little drop in. That's, whoops, well, I got two, but that's fine. And I'm going to wipe off my hand here. That stuff is messy. So I'm just going to mix it up. Nice and opaque. So this is what we're going to do with our waves. Just get it really incorporated. And then with my other secret ingredient, this is what I use. I don't use a stick, I use a feather. So I'm just going to stick that in there for now. And I'm going to start with the clear epoxy. I'll move my torch out of the way. So, let's see, yep, we're in screen. And I don't worry about bubbles. Because I will get those all with a torch. If you notice, there was a spot where my Mod Podge got up on the top of the cup, and that's okay too, because if the epoxy doesn't cover it, I'll just put a wave over that spot. So, just putting on a thin coat, not a heavy one. I may use all of this, I don't know. Hair. I want to get the bottom covered, because that will take up a little bit. That sand will take up it'll kind of like soak it up. And yes, I make a mess. I'm horrible at that. I try to let my parchment paper catch it. No. Okay, I think we're good and covered here. And I've still got maybe 10 milliliters left, so let me wipe off my hands. And we will start with the feathers. I see I have cat hair in there already. So, take my cool tool here and very carefully, this is a, I don't know, I bought a whole set of them from Harbor Freight a long time ago, thinking I was going to use them for my polymer clay, and I always burn my polymer clay, so I gave up on that craft. So let's apply the waves. I'm going to start down here at the shoreline. Yeah, my cup is going the wrong direction. That's okay. I don't care how it goes, how it goes on, because when you get ready to torch and do all of that good stuff, it's going to move anyway. I just like using the feather. I feel like I have more control. And I don't like that, so I'm just going to fix it. Put one here. This was a broken feather, so I just cut the tip off and went with it. The only thing I don't want is a bulky blob, so I just want to watch out for that. So put one here. You kind of want to put them where your color transitions. And I think I'll try to do a real thin one right at the top here. Wait till it comes around and then I'll touch it again. Just like that. I'm going to do a little more here. Get that. So now let's torch. I'm using a torch 400. I got it off of Amazon. I'm going to go really fast. And what'll happen is when this heats up, see, I'm not giving it a chance to burn the epoxy. I'm just getting it hot. I'm popping the bubbles. And you'll see the waves start to move. Okay, I see a spot, so I have to wait for that to come around. Oh, wrong tool. I like using this tool here with a part that's just got a little bend in it. very linty down here in our basement. And epoxy, excuse me, seems to act like a magnet. So I try to pick it out, and I babysit. And I used to have these, they were nets that you push, it turns into an umbrella, and I used to have those, but they both broke on me, so I haven't replaced them yet. But you can see the waves are going to do what they want to do. Sometimes I can push it. So now you can see it's faded, so I got to add a little more. Get my little feather here. Oh, well, that wasn't good. Get rid of that little drip there. So that's basically it, guys. I'm going to put just a little more on. Now, if it turns out the way you like it the first time, you're done. You just let this cure. I will have to come back and do a second coat because I always put a sticker on the bottom of my cups. This is stone coat I'm using today. It's the art resin, and the sand is kind of giving me little bubbles here. So I'll have to watch that for a while. And my resin is dripping all over the floor. Look at that little fold up so that it'll catch it. But anyways, so that's it. That's how I do my beach cups. If you, like I said, if it turns out good the first time around, then you're done. You just need this one coat, because I used a really thin sand, but I will be using a second coat because I need to put a sticker on the bottom of the cup. So yeah, just move your torch really fast so that you don't ever burn anything. And that's it. Looks like a tide pool starting right there. So I will come back when I get the second coat on, and we'll see what it looks like. I may actually, when I do my second coat, I may actually put in some more white epoxy. So I'll see you when the cup is finished. Thanks. All right. This is all done. I'm trying to get away from the glare. Let's see here. What's the best way? I don't know. But anyways, you can see the waves. Looks really nice. And every time I do this, it comes out different, but I like it. So I could go back and do another coat and put some more white in there if I wanted, but I think I'm going to leave it as it is. I think it looks good. So thanks for stopping in and watching. Hit the subscribe button if you would, and give me a thumbs up. Share this video with your other crafting friends. And we will see you next time. I think I'm going to try to do an acrylic pour or maybe a resin piece. So, we will see you next time. Bye.